We're going to talk about talking too much, talking too little, and too negatively. So the major focus is going to be on these two here, with an emphasis on too much in a way, because that's the one that most of us struggle with a lot. And because this is a stressful topic, I'm going to give you something to calm your mind before we go further. It's called the heart-brain coherence technique. I'm going to show you very quickly, and then I'm going to have you continue to do that while I'm talking with you. So you cross at the wrists. It's from Drs. Carla Hannaford and Dr. Church, both of whom taught me the same technique. And you clasp your fingers, bring them to your chest, cross at the ankles, feet flat on the floor, and then just take several deep breaths. So continue doing that, and I'll give you more content. We have the problem of people talking too much because of power dynamics in the room and lack of safety. So remember those two important points. And what often happens in a meeting setting, we either have set up a collaborative environment or a hierarchical environment. And you either have the picture on the left of lots of people, turtles in this case, just easily talking with each other. And the picture on the right, which is the Canada goose from my country, and you just have them hissing at you and not really letting other people get a word in edgewise. Now, that's a little bit of an overstatement, but let's look at the characteristics of a collaborative environment versus hierarchical. And you can think about, what do my meetings sound like? What do the meetings I participate in sound like? What do the meetings I lead sound like? So in a collaborative, we've got open-ended questions. You'll hear a little bit more about that later. People are giving their ideas, and all kinds of ideas are going all over, and people are actually awake. In a hierarchical environment, you often hear closed questions. Do you think this is a good idea, for example? Some people are doing most of the talking, others are waiting to be asked, but when they give their opinion, they're usually just agreeable because they're afraid to be otherwise. And you actually have people falling asleep in these meetings. That is the truth. 40% of people admit to falling asleep in meetings in some countries. So I'm going to give you a little quiz, and think about this. The key reasons for people over-talking or under-talking are: they love the sound of their own voice. Well, that may be true, but I would say that's false. And some people just don't like to talk, and I think that's false as well. They may prefer to stay quiet and offer ideas later, but it's just not that they don't like to talk. So the tips that we're going to give you are: use open-ended questions, and we'll tell you exactly how to do that in future videos. And use a simple phrase like, especially if they're not normally talkative, say more about that. Now, we're going to tell you what to do with the really over-talkative person, and this is how you say it. It gives them a hint. I'd like to hear from as many people as possible who has not yet had a chance to speak. And that gives the cue to the person who's talking a little bit more, and a permission to the people who are not talking so much. Now, often in meetings, we have senior leaders, and that creates a bit of a power imbalance and a little bit of safety issue. And so some very respectful ways of asking your senior leaders: can I check if I understand? What would you change or add? What kind of feedback would you like from others? So that you're just facilitating those senior leaders a little bit and trying to get others to add into what they're saying, and for people in the meeting to understand what the senior leaders are saying. And finally, here's something that's a bit harder, but I'll give you this example of, I'm noticing men talking more than women in the meeting. Would the men be willing to not speak for a while so that more women's perspectives can be heard? And that's something that we don't always notice that happening, but I think it's really important to notice who is not speaking in the room. And can you set the stage for saying, I noticed that, and can we do it differently?